Hello, trampoline friends. Welcome back to Trampoline Insight. I'm Nuno alongside Steven Gluckstein, and today it's episode 14. I would like to start today by thanking everyone that subscribed on YouTube, subscribed and liked on Instagram and Facebook, and that has helped us share the trampoline knowledge around the world. Thank you, and keep sharing so we can keep growing and they can keep taking that knowledge to even more and more people.
Absolutely. Today, we're joined by New Zealand's first Olympian in trampoline gymnastics. Some of his accolades include finaling at the 2016 Rio Olympic Games, winning the 2014 Youth Olympic Games, as well as finaling at every single World Cup he's attended in 2019, making it mathematically almost impossible for him not to qualify to the Tokyo Olympic Games. Please welcome to the podcast, Dylan Schmidt.
Hey, Dylan. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Life's slowly getting back to normal. It's been a bit of a slog, but it is what it is, and it's nice that can be back and all that stuff.
Nice.
We're happy that you're here today with us.
Yeah, we're stoked to have you here.
Yeah, it's really nice to see you guys. It's been a while since I've seen people from the traveling community, so it's nice.
Right, I know. As I get older and there's more competitions and World Cups and events, I'm starting to feel like I see everyone more often, and then all of a sudden this hits, and now I feel like I haven't seen anybody in for so long, so it feels weird. But we're happy to see you, man. So let's get into this, right? So besides your results and having the biggest quads and calves in the competition, let's try to teach our audience a little bit more about you, right? So why don't you start by telling us how you got involved in trampoline and at what age?
Okay, sweet. Yeah, so I started trampolining when I was about 5 years old in a really, really small town in New Zealand called Te Anau. Basically my brother and sister sort of did it. Some guys started up a small club, and we just I loved it. As soon as I turned 5, which was the age you had to be to start, I went in and I started. Pretty much ever since then, I've been doing it. We've moved around a little bit, and just kind of when I moved around, just would find another club and just kind of keep going from there. It's gone really quick. I think probably the biggest reason why I kept doing it was my brother made the Worlds team when he was 11 or 12, and then my parents sort of committed to him going to Worlds, and then by the time my brother had sort of done that, my sister made Worlds, and then I made Worlds, and it just sort of flew on from there.
So you started when you were 5. How old were you when you started competing, or at least doing it competitively?
Yeah, I think like recreationally we had little competitions and stuff when I was really young, but I think my first international competition going to Aussie, so Australian Nationals, would have been when I was probably 10 and under maybe. But yeah, I think I would have been competing around maybe 8 years old.
Gotcha. So you started in the recreational program already with like intentions of competing then?
I think when I was 5 years old, I was just doing it for fun, and like competing was just part of the package. You kind of had to do it. But yeah, as I got older, obviously that's where I wanted to take it. But yeah, back then it was all about having fun.
Nice. And since you've started, right, have you had multiple coaches? Have you been in one gym, multiple gyms? How's that laid out since when you started? Yeah,
so when I started in Te Anau, there was a small club, as I said. And then the dude sort of just left pretty soon after, and my mum and a few other parents sort of took over and started coaching. But then my first real coach was Daphne Stringer in Southland as well. And then when I moved up to Waihi, when I moved up to the North Island, I moved to a club called Extreme Trampoline, and that club's moved around a bit, but it's always been the same club. We've just moved venues a few times. And my coach were Angie and Justin Doodle. Angie mainly was my coach back then, and then I'm not very good at remembering dates, but quite a few years ago, obviously Jarrod came along from Australia and started coaching me. That would have been probably 7 or 8 years ago. So he's been with me ever since. So those are pretty much all the coaches I've had through the years.
So I wanted to pick up a little bit on that, because I think Jarrod was not your first coach, as you already explained, but a big influence in this last development that you had and the success that you had lately. Were you already on that club when Jarrod came into that club, or did you move to a club where Jarrod was, and what things did Jarrod do to change you? Because, and one in particular, I saw in the beginning when you start doing your first World Championships and even Youth Olympic Games, he would help you focus on the competition, like a competition routine, where it seemed like he was measuring your heartbeat and everything to see if you were calm. Why don't you tell us a little bit of those secrets?
Okay, yeah, we could get a lot into that. So basically, my coach Angie, she wanted to step back from coaching. She had a young family and she wanted to spend more time with them. And she knew that she had the vision of me going to the Olympics, and she kind of, instilled that dream of mine in me. And she knew that she wasn't the right person because she couldn't commit the time and effort to traveling and all that sort of stuff. So she was looking for someone basically to take over the competitive program for her club, and that's where Jarrod came along. So he was sort of our club for the first few years. For the first few years actually it was a bit funny. I didn't compete very well at all for about 2 years. I pretty much failed every competition, and I think part of that, I was still quite young and sort of not quite as mature as what I am now. And through that sort of period of kind of, struggling a lot with competing, Jarrod and we both worked a lot on my mental sort of aspect of the sport as well. So I guess that's where that kind of came along. And then, he's an awesome coach. He's a great coach, and he knows how to deal with me, during competitions, that sort of stuff, and keep me calm. So we really worked on that. But I think I was sort of tracking on the right path with Angie. I definitely wouldn't be the athlete I am without her. She didn't push me. She held me back. She, instilled great techniques and that sort of stuff in me from a young age, and made sure she didn't push me too hard. So, but yeah, I mean, obviously Jarrod, he's done a lot for me. He's super organised and super on everything, and a good coach as well. So, it was sort of just a great natural friend. We really just, after the first few years, started working really well together.
Yeah, and tell me how long did it actually start for you to start trusting Jarrod, and because as a coach, and we're coaches here, right? Me and Steven, and it's not so easy to have the fully trust of an athlete for us to change their competition routines, right? When I say routines, it's the mindset to approach a competition, to for example, to approach you and measure your heartbeat and be on the same path and understanding. How was to adapt to that? Because I feel like that's a big shift from what it was before, but obviously it made you significantly better. So I feel like there's a lot of other athletes that could use that kind of help, but right. Some of them don't let themselves approach that much, and it's a hard place to find that relationship between an athlete and the coach. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it's almost when you're coming from one coach to the other, it's almost you make these relationships with your coaches. It's almost like a family, and sometimes you have a new coach come in, and it's like having a stepmom or a stepdad, and it's you have that fight at first where it's like, you're not my dad or you're not my coach, and how did you ever go through that phase, or were you guys just automatically like clicked and in sync?
No, I think definitely I was pretty loyal to Angie, and I was, obviously I was still pretty young, but I understood where she was coming from, but it did take time, as I said. Like it took, it's hard to remember as quite a few years ago, and I was really young, but we definitely didn't click straight away. And I think the biggest part was sort of I was, pretty young teenager, that sort of thing, when I was still kind of maturing and that sort of stuff. So, but as I matured, our relationship just grew, you know what I mean? So I think the biggest part was, it wasn't like he was my coach and I was down here, we were always like, I had input, and if I didn't like something, or, we'd talk about it, and it would be, more of a partnership than a coach-athlete relationship, this traditional sort of like, you do this, you do that. But it was like, I am a person who likes, if I don't think something's worth it, I won't be doing it. I know what I want to do, and I know how I can train to be better and stuff. And obviously he helps me a lot. Like he does all the programming and that sort of stuff. But I think what works well is we communicate, and obviously we've just, through the years, we've had to get better and better at this, but we've learned to communicate really well and just talk to each other about where we both want to go, because he wants me to be where I want to be as well. So I think, the biggest part about us and is just the trust we have for each other, and being open and able to communicate. And I'm not just going to sit down and just do what he wants me to do, even if I don't, because it just breaks down the relationship. So, it's all about being on the same level as him, in a sense, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I
absolutely.
really think that's what makes great athletes and great coaches relationship, is actually being at the same level and being able to trust that way. I think that's one of the hardest things as a coach, to have athletes that can grow to that spot, because I feel like some of them are very afraid to grow to that spot. They don't know if they can be at the same level as the coach. They're afraid that there might be some fraction there or something like that. And it takes a while, but I do agree. That's what makes great athletes and great coaches. That's that relationship.
Yeah. Absolutely. And and obviously you guys are a team. You guys shaved your heads together just a few weeks ago, right? So that says something. So I'd like to ask you a question that's kind of, we alluded to this in one of our previous podcasts when we were looking at success of World Championship finalists and how they did at the world age group level, and if there's some kind of correlation between the two, and some people believe that if an athlete's too good too early, that they burn out, or their success won't pass over to the senior level. And the results that we found was the exact opposite, that a lot of people who had great results at the age group level were performing well and had a long career at the senior level. So you are a great example of this. You had a great career as an age grouper, right? You won the world age groups at 11, 12 in 2009. You got a silver medal in 2011 as a 13, 14-year-old. And then in 2014, you win the Youth Olympic Games, right? Do you feel like that helped you in your career as a senior, or do you feel like you're burning out or growing weary of competing?
Yeah, I think everyone's different, obviously, but I just had the drive to compete and to win, so for me, whether I'm a junior or a senior, I don't think I really felt like I was burning out. Obviously, there was times where you feel like training is getting tough, but I totally agree with what you guys found. I think obviously I haven't performed as well as I want to perform at the World Championships, and I haven't made the World Championships final yet, but I do think that I've done pretty well in World Cups and some pretty high profile senior events. So I don't see a correlation between success early being not successful in like the future. If you have success early, you can 100% have success in the future, and if anything, it drove me to want to be better, because I knew I could win and I knew I could perform, and that sort of spurred my sort of motivation to take it to the next level and bring it to the senior ranks. But everyone's different. I think it's also how you're brought up. It's also how you're brought up and how you're coached, and why you're doing the sport as well. If you're doing the sport for yourself, I think it's really important. But if you're doing the sport for other people, your parents maybe pushing you into it and stuff like that at a young age, and telling you that you should be winning and stuff, that can definitely have an effect and make athletes not want to compete in a senior division for sure.
Absolutely, I totally agree with that. So Dylan, you did Youth Olympic Games, Olympic Games. How do those competitions differ, and in which ways are they similar? What do you think?
Yeah, so I think they're quite they have their similarities, but they were so different as well. I mean, for me, it was pretty much the Youth Olympics was my first multi-sport event. So obviously, being with the New Zealand team in a village and that sort of stuff is similar to the Olympics, where with other athletes from other sports that you haven't met, and you've got a huge team that you have to interact with and that sort of stuff. And statistically, it's a lot different to traveling with just Jarrod and myself and a few other athletes. And it is similar, the way you go to the food hall and walking around the village and buses to the venues and stuff, and the podium on the competition stuff was already similar. I think nothing really to the Olympics, just the scale of everything, the athletes, just the whole process was really, really different, and it was a lot more. I don't know the right word. It was just a lot more kind of
Olympic?
Had that, yeah, it had that sort of, had that sort of prestige to it a lot more, and just had that feeling that, this is the pinnacle, and it was just the vibe and the feeling of the place that I think was the most different for me, definitely.
So I just like to say, I totally agree with that, because the Youth Olympic Games are a huge competition, but they're not the pinnacle, just like you said, right? They're just one stage of your development to help you get to the pinnacle, right? So I think many athletes see the Youth Olympic Games as the pinnacle, and then they go down from there. I think it's important to have exactly that vision that you just said. Youth Olympic Games, first multi-sport competition. You see yourself, you adapt, and then you go to the Olympic Games and you see the difference, and you are able to really visualize what was before and what's now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know there was myself and one other athlete that went to the Olympics from the Youth Olympics. A lot of friends that I made, you could tell that Youth Olympics was it for them. And then, they maybe did the sport for a year, but then like a lot of them just fell off. Still a few of them exactly. I know there are a few still, going for the 2020, 2021 Olympics and are on track for that. So there might be a couple more from the 2014 Youth Olympics that will make the Olympic Games, but yeah, it wasn't many. I was surprised. There was just me and a hockey player.
Right, exactly. Wow. And I think that's important. I think it's important to make our mindset understand that WAGC, World Championships, Youth Olympics, they're all building up for you to get to the top.
Right. Yeah. It's a stepping stone, right? I think that's why the event was created. All right, so I'd like to shift the conversation, maybe to a little tough part of the conversation. And I believe it was in 2018, right? You underwent surgery to repair a torn ACL, right? Could you share the story about how you became injured and the recovery process that you went through?
Yeah, sure. It's a long story, but yeah, essentially, I ruptured my ACL and my LCL. So with the LCL, I did some posterior lateral corner damage. So unfortunately, with the normal ACL injury, they can just go in microscopically and stuff, but I had to get my knee basically sliced open from the outside. So I have about a 20 centimeter scar on the outside of my leg, and a few more other scars. So it was a pretty hefty surgery. And
Chicks big scars.
Chicks, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
That's what Americans say.
So yeah, that was so that came about by just a training accident, a freak accident. We've actually got a video of it. I basically finished my training and I was feeling good, and I was like, yeah, let's just do another turn. Let's go for another. Let's do a full roll. I was gonna do a big routine. So good. And the trip for free half drift pike, but my legs just collapsed into the half drift pike. And in my head, I pulled out of the half drift pike because I didn't think I had enough rotation. And then I kind of just came out, just missed the whole landing, spotted, leg landed kind of crooked sideways and twisted. It was just a freak accident, just a stupid, small mistake. And, it led to a long time out. So when I first got, the news and stuff, they basically said 12 months before I can start jumping again, which obviously was pretty devastating for me, being with, not only was training going really, really well before that injury, I was the best I'd ever felt. I was super excited about 2018, about competing, about winning some medals at World Cups. That was I was really, really excited about that because I was feeling really good. So that obviously happened, and then, but also on top of that, 12 months, that was cutting it fine for the first Olympic qualifier, and that was also weighing on my mind. So yeah, and then it was, fortunately, I rehabbed really, really hard. I did everything right, and I was back jumping pretty much in about 9.5 months, and I trained for 6 weeks before the competition in Azerbaijan. So I mean, there's so much to go over with that. If you have any specific questions, it's hard to kind of go over everything, but it was it was a pretty brutal rehab, and it took a lot of time and effort.
Yeah, I remember seeing.
No, did you learn the lesson, or when you say one more, you just say no more? Because that's what I tell my athletes now. Whenever they ask me one more, I'm like, maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I wasn't fatigued. I wasn't tired. I was, as I said, I was feeling good. But maybe, yeah, I don't think I've done it again since I've done that. But it was just a freak accident. I don't know. I
No,
don't.
yeah, those
I'm,
things can
Yeah,
happen.
yeah, I'm not
right.
superstitious. So,
Yeah,
And especially with
that's
the level of routine that you guys are doing these days, one little mistake on takeoff can make you
yep,
short on landing and all those things, right? Can the
yep.
speed and the momentum you bring from one skill to the other, that all that influences. So
Yeah,
let's
absolutely. And I think that's why
move on.
it's called an accident, right? They didn't do it on
Exactly.
purpose. So, and I remember watching your videos. It was pretty inspirational watching you train to come back. You were going through all kinds of different fitness and physical therapy. It was pretty exciting. So I know you're posting some on Instagram, right? So if some people are going through that, they can take a look at your videos. But this is a pretty, I don't want to say common, but it's an injury that happens, right, to athletes, especially in our sport. What would you recommend for someone that maybe went through the same or similar, and then they come back to training, maybe with fear of doing that move again, or re-injuring that knee or that ankle or their back again? Did you have any of that? And what would you advise for those athletes?
yeah, I mean, I think there's always going to be that fear. You know, I was a little bit nervous when I first did the reductive half pike again. But the biggest thing for me was trusting my team. I knew my team wouldn't put me on the trampoline if they didn't think I was ready. So there was a lot of testing, a lot of pre sort of testing to make sure that I was fit and strong and healthy enough to get on. And then knowing yourself that you've put the work in, you've trained and you've rehabbed and you've trained so hard to get yourself as strong as you possibly can to make sure that you give yourself the lowest possible chance of it happening again. So yeah, I mean, it was a whole team effort, and I had complete trust in everyone, with the time frames and stuff. And a big thing is not coming back too early. A lot of people try and come back too early. They feel fine. Like I felt fine, a lot earlier than when I came back, but the body just doesn't work like that. You might feel fine, but internally it's not quite as strong as what it can be. So you got to be patient. And when you do come back, really important to have a plan in place to stagger yourself back into where you were. You don't just come back and just go full bore straight away. I came back and I probably could have been doing stuff a lot earlier, but I took my time. Every week we just slowly built up the load, slowly, built up what I was doing and got to a point where I was, close to where I was. And I think that's really important, is having it written down, having it structured in a plan, not just, oh yeah, I'll, go a little bit harder today. I'll go a little bit harder today. You calculate how much DD you're doing in a session, for example, to know how much load you're putting your body under, and you just slowly progress through there. So that was where, Jarrod came in. Obviously he did a lot of work on that, and then obviously my physiotherapist and my whole team, just building in before I got onto a trampoline. I tried to get myself to the similar load off the trampoline that I was doing on the trampoline. So it was just a smooth transition the whole way through. There was no hiccups. I didn't take any steps forward, and I didn't have to take any. I took steps forward, but I didn't have to take any steps back. It was always just one step at a time. So yeah, it was a big process to get myself ready to compete. But yeah, we did it. I think we did a pretty good job.
Yeah,
I
I
think you
mean,
did a fantastic job.
right, especially right. You recovered, you came back nice and slow, the right way, and then what you said, it was 6.5 weeks, right, until you had an Olympic qualifying World Cup, right? Was in Baku, and then you went out, performed an easier routine, and just crushed it, right? Absolutely crushed it. Made the final. Was that surprising to you, or were you expecting to have that result then?
Yeah, not at all. The goal was top 16. Well, really, the goal was to compete, to get back into it, to just feel the competition again, get rid of those nerves, try and get some points. But then really the next couple competitions where I was going to try and make the final. So yeah, I mean, it was crazy. I'd been jumping for a little bit. I think it was about 6 weeks of sort of proper training. I'd been doing, a bit before that of just low jumps, jumping on my back, getting spatials back and stuff. But it was pretty much 6 weeks of training, and obviously it was, the plan was to do a 15-6 difficulty, a little bit easier, just nice and safe, get a score on the board essentially, and then we would go up. Every competition would just step up the DD and go from there. But man, honestly, when I was on the floor and I saw, I knew that I'd made the final, like, it was one of the most emotional experiences I've ever had in my life. I was close to tears. I've talked about it a couple of times, but not too many times to people, but really just it almost felt like that moment, like all the hard work and all the pain and all the shitty times essentially in the last 12 months had all kind of built up to that moment, and to finally have it like kind of realize, and I was back, I felt like I was back. It just felt great. It was, something I'll never forget.
That's awesome, man. I'm so happy that you had that. It sucks that you had to go through that, but that you had that experience. And it's something that we're finding, with these guests that come on, we're like, what was your highest point of your career? And these athletes, a lot of these athletes aren't saying, it was my medal at the Olympic Games. It was this. They're like, it was when I came back from the injury, or it was at World Age Groups when I, did this and I didn't think I was going to. And I think that surprises a lot of people. So, I'm so happy that you got to experience that. And I think a lot of people experienced that too when we saw that routine. I remember I wasn't there. I was back at the gym coaching at home, and I watched it, and I was just like blown away because I was so confused. I was like, I remember watching videos of him rehabbing, and then all of a sudden he's here jumping a 22-second stopwatch optional and just absolutely crushing it. So it was exciting for me to watch as well. I can't imagine what it felt like.
Yeah, cheers. Yeah, it was it all happened so fast, eh? It was crazy. But yeah, I nailed that routine. Probably the best one I'd done.
So going back to training, you had alluded to this a little bit at the beginning. You have siblings or had siblings in the sport as well, right? How many siblings do you have, right? And how many did you train with?
Yep. Okay, so I have 2 siblings. I'm the youngest. I have a brother and a sister. My brother's the oldest and my sister's middle child. So yeah, we always trained at the same club. And I'll be honest, when we were younger, there was definitely, some fights between siblings that happened at training, which weren't ideal for our coaches and stuff. But yeah, as we got older and stuff like that, it just kind of ironed out and we matured, and then my brother stopped doing the sport, and my sister's still, competing, coming back from injury and stuff. So she's still plodding along, and yeah, it's fine. We have a good relationship, and we all love the sport. So, definitely earlier on, I think coaches, they didn't like to do much.
Yeah, I believe it. I went through a little bit with that with my brother when we were younger, and then it gets
and
smooths out.
With my brother. We all have siblings here that competed.
It's funny. I was curious to have if you have that one token sibling, because it's like my brother and I who are known internationally in the sport, and then no one knows we have an older sister that never has stepped foot in a gymnastics facility, when she was a kid, and everyone's like, you have a sister? So I was waiting to see if you're like, yeah, there's 4 of us, 3 have been international superstars, and then there's the one over here, but you guys don't have that.
So Dylan, can you tell us how many world championships you've done so far?
Man, I'm not good at these questions, eh? I'd have to think about it. I went, 2009.
We have time.
Open?
Open, yeah, senior.
Okay, so 14, 15, 17, and 19. 5. Yeah, 14, 15, 17, and 19, because I didn't do 18.
And how many WAGs?
2009, 2011, just 3, I think. 2000, yeah. And then 2013.
I only did 1 and broke my arm on it.
Yeah, well, on my last one, I fell off in both routines, so that was fun. That was when
you should tell us that story.
That was when I was going through my falling off phase. So yeah, I fell off on a tuck jump. I did a tuck jump to the corner and did a back salt onto the side pad, and then then in my voluntary I did a Miller like right off the side of the trampoline.
So which one was your favorite world championships?
With age and open?
Only open.
Only open. That's a tough one. They've all been really frustrating, to be honest. Probably 2014, like just my first one, and I did exceed my expectations. So I top 16. I think I ended up 15th, but after the final, after the prelims, I was 9th or 10th or 11th. So I was, close to the final, and then, I didn't do a good routine in the semis, but that was fun because I just done it was the same year. So it was only a few months after the Olympics when I went to my first open competition, which was Worlds. Came top 16, which secured me funding at home, a little bit of funding at home, and sort of started my progress into the high performance space in New Zealand. So, and it was fun, I was so young and I loved it, and we had a pretty cool team and stuff. So it was Daytona, eh? Yeah, it was a fun trip because we were just having, it was just good fun. And then
Daytona was good. I think Daytona was great with the beach right across the street and everything. I think it was one of the best world championships we had. For me, my favorite was definitely '99 South Africa because that place was phenomenal, and I didn't take advantage of it as much as I wanted to. But again, Daytona was pretty good, I thought.
Yeah, and we were just throwing balls around and just having a good time. It was I just remember it to be when I look back now, it was definitely the best, definitely the most fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
what about your Olympic Games? You want to tell us story interesting from your Olympic Games?
Yeah, I mean, the Olympics was pretty stressful time.
Was it different than anything else you had before?
Yeah, for sure. It was almost like when I got there, I had too much time and I was ready to compete like 4 days before the competition. And on top of that, leading up to the competition, I had my appendix removed. I had some my back was playing up, and like I had periods where I couldn't train. Even at the test event in Rio when I came second, I pretty much wasn't jumping like 5 days before. I could barely walk 5 days before. I slipped a disc in my back, and something was. Well, I hadn't slipped a disc. There was a bulge disc in S1 or something. I can't really remember, but and I was in a lot of pain. It was just I was in a lot of pain. It was just hard. It was hard. And then getting to Olympics, actually, I was planning on going to the opening ceremony, but then my back just kind of twinged again. And I was basically 2 days in a bed, just letting it settle down. And,
oh, wow.
And that settled down pretty quickly, which was nice. But then training was just stressful. I wasn't training very well at all. I pulled back my routine. I was planning on doing 17 for prelims, but it just wasn't working, and it was just I don't know. It was stressful, but once I got onto the competition floor, that's when I started enjoying it a lot more because that's what I was there for. It was like such a big build up, and when I got onto the comp floor, that's when I was happy because that's what I wanted, and it just took so long to get there, and then it happened so fast. So the build up was, and then after that, Olympics was fun. I was there for another week and a half, 2 weeks, just watching events, and that was great.
Did you get to explore the city at all of Rio?
Yeah, we explored the city quite a lot at the test event as well because we were there with Kieran and stuff and a few other people and my physio. So we had a lot of exploring then, and we did do a bit. We kind of picked at the Olympics. We did stuff that we didn't get to do, but also we took the opportunities to go and watch as many sports as we could. We watched all of Usain Bolt's races. We watched heaps of stuff. So it was just cool, just wagging our athlete pass and not getting tickets and just walking through, and it was fun.
That's what
awesome.
Makes the Olympic Games really good. All the free stuff.
And all the how much macros did you eat after you competed?
I went once. The line was like 40 minutes, and it was actually a funny story. When I lined up next to Lydia Ko's caddy. You guys know Lydia Ko, our best woman golfer. So I lined up, and I'm into golf as well. Wasn't really too much into it back then, but just had a 40-minute yarn to him in the line, and got a huge feed for me and Jarrod. And didn't even really enjoy it that much. But that's the only time I got the Maccas. It was just too long to wait.
Yeah. So I think that was something. I remember going into the village in Rio and seeing that line every single day, just all the way down into that little shopping area. But for those who don't know, at every Olympic Games, there's a McDonald's restaurant either in the cafeteria or somewhere in the village where you can order whatever you want, however much you want, for free. So that's usually after the competition where people go and splurge and
or before, in my case.
If you're, or Nuno's case, before the competition. So, Dylan, what's life like now? Are you guys back to training? Are you still quarantined? What's going on in New Zealand?
Yeah, we are like slowly getting back to normal. People are going back to work and that sort of stuff. We're still in like a stage of lockdown, but we're able to train and we're able to move around and stuff like that. So yeah, our club started up again. We've been training. Haven't been training like as much as I would be because it's just so hard not knowing when you're going to be competing and, really kind of conscious of not burning out at this time and just kind of trying to keep things interesting, trying to keep things fun. So I'm training, 4 or 5 days a week and just kind of, taking this opportunity to do things in life and work on little things, not too much work on, like peaking, because obviously we don't know what we're peaking for anymore. So it's more just technical stuff, trying to improve on my weaknesses and just, as I said, having a bit of fun in training. So
which is what are your weaknesses?
I think
it's a difficult question for you to answer.
I definitely do have a few weaknesses. I think sometimes I
really think you don't point your feet very well.
Thanks.
Right. Yeah.
I think one that I'm working on is sort of my focus and distractions. So making sure that I can stay in the moment no matter what's happening around me and not getting, kind of slapped out of concentration.
So basically you're doing your routine and Jarrod has like foghorns and stuff going off on the side. Is that like, and juggling fire? Is that what's going on?
For all intensive purposes, pretty much things like that. Obviously not those sort of things, but little things. And then also I think one of my, I think HD is a big thing for me. Like I'm trying to work on my strength in the bed when I take off, especially on my backward skills. I find myself, my arms get a little bit weak, get a little bit out to the side. So I'm really trying to focus on getting it strong and getting a nice solid takeoff. Especially in those backward skills. And my half drifts, I don't like my half drifts. They're too slow. So trying to speed them up.
You know what? I mean, I don't know if I've ever met a trampolinist ever in history that 3 triples have ever been done that enjoyed a half drift or their half drift. I don't know. I think it's
totally
impossible. Agree. I don't know if it's possible.
I have this really funny story. Okay. So I always thought my half drifts were too slow. Always. Okay. And there was this conversation talking with the Swedish guy, and he told me, "Oh, Nuno, we really like your half drifts. How do you get so much power off the bed and so much speed?" I was like, "Excuse me, I really always think they're too slow. What are you talking about?" So I feel like Steven is right. Everyone always think their half drifts are too slow, always.
So what? How long were you in lockdown and what was your routine like then?
Yeah, so we went to 4 weeks. It was like 4.5, almost 5 weeks of like level 4, which is why we pretty much couldn't do anything. We were strict as, pretty much had to stay at home, have one person go to the supermarket and that sort of stuff, and just stay around our area. And it was weird. Like I found myself really busy. It was like I had so much time, but there was always things popping up. It was, I was trying to keep a morning routine. I got a puppy just before lockdown as well. So I've been.
Oh, what kind of puppy? And what's his name?
His name's Taco.
Tucker?
Taco. T-A, like a,
like, taco. Like taco food.
Like a taco, yeah. So that's his name. He's sort of a mixed breed. He's a New Zealand heading dog. So it's like a sheepdog crossed with a border collie, German short-haired pointer. So I'm training him, training him for hunting actually. So you can edit that out if you want to. But so training him up and sort of he kind of kept me a lot. It was good because it was a lot of structure. I had to get up in the morning early, get him up to go toilet because he's 11 weeks old or whatever, so really young. So kind of had to manage that, and then I kind of planned my day around him. And then there was always things popping up. Have you need to do, which I'm not. Yeah, I'm kind of getting by. And then there was always things popping up like media things, doing those videos, interviews and stuff. In the first 4 weeks, it's obviously quieting down now, but yeah, those first 4 weeks keep pretty busy. And a lot of gym stuff at home, a lot of cardio stuff on track here, and just getting active.
Was there any focus of like increase in strength or flexibility or anything, or were you just kind of trying to take that time to mentally chill out?
Yeah, it was a good mental chill out for me, but I was pretty much doing the same gym programs I was doing, but at home. So we got given some equipment from our gym, from High Performance Sport, or from our gym where I gym. They gave athletes some equipment, so I got to take that stuff home, like a trap bar and things like that. So I could use that, and I was pretty much doing the same sessions at home, and I actually picked up a session. So the strength stuff was kind of just maintaining and doing what I'm doing, and then the tramp stuff was just as much as I could be doing. And then I kind of added in some cardio stuff. Went for a few runs, but that didn't last too long. And yeah, it was kind of just, it was a good mental break for sure.
And for those that don't know, Dylan has a trampoline in his backyard, a real trampoline in his backyard. So he took advantage of that. Well, a real, I guess, compared
7 by 14,
average,
right?
With the average American trampoline in the backyard, that's a real trampoline in the backyard. It has rebound springs and rebound beds, so that's already a real trampoline.
We were able to do like fitness stuff, cardio stuff, work on takeoffs and techniques and stuff like that, and single skills, and just keep the body moving, which was nice. And because tramp fitness and tramp doing stuff on a trampoline in general is a lot. It takes a lot out of your body, and when you have a big break, it is quite sore to get back into it. So it was nice to kind of keep that going. So when I did get back into the gym, it was not as didn't take as long to kind of get the body used to it again.
Okay, so with all that training, and now that you're back in the gym, I have a really, really important question. Let's shift this to the next cycle and the next cut of points. What do you think about the next cut of points?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I haven't looked like eagle eye into it, obviously, but I do know there are like a few changes and stuff like that are probably going to be happening. I mean, I don't know if they've been confirmed yet, but yeah, I mean, it is what it is. As athletes, we just have to deal with it. I think I kind of like the 2 chances that are voluntary. I think that's good because sometimes something happens and it's not always like your fault. It is, it's your fault, but it's it's just a little thing that's wrong, and it doesn't really show your full potential. So having 2 chances, I think, really gives you the opportunity to show what you've been doing in training. But taking out the set routine, I think the set routine it differentiates the good athletes from the great athletes. You've got to be pretty solid to get a good score on that set routine. And I mean, personally, it's not my strength. It's not my best routine, but I still enjoy doing it, and I still enjoy training it because it's just one of those things that's I feel like it's part of the sport. So taking that away is a little bit funny, but I don't really like that. But I mean, essentially, it's not the end of the world. We've just got to deal with it.
Yeah,
well,
and I think
do you think it's going to be more exciting for the public, or do you think it's going to stay the same, or what do you think?
Personally, I think it's going to stay the same. I don't think it's going to really have that much effect on that.
That's okay. I don't think anyone really knows what effect it's going to have. We're going to have to wait and see what effect. And you believe that, we all believe different things, and then we'll see what the effect is in the end. I have nothing against. We shall see what it is. I do have a question. Do you think that mainly on the men we're going to see more triples, or we're going to start to see some quads?
I'm not sure if we might see quads. I don't think they're going to be from the people that are going to be winning. We might see some stuff like that, but I do think
that's a good point.
I do think we're probably going to see more full front halves. I definitely think there's going to be some more intense triple combos. I know personally I'm working on my full front halves. Hopefully be doing, full front half ready out triff. So just trying to step. I think there's definitely going to be people trying to step it up, but not so much with quads. I don't think it's worth it. But some people might.
I think until they change until they change the difficulty value, I don't think it's the risk to reward is not equal. We're not worth it. What about?
But I do think some people that are not fighting for the medals, they might attempt it, just like Dylan said. I do think that some people might go for it just to create a show, just to create a whoa, look at me effect, But I really think that might be possible.
What about two things, right? I think number one, we're going to also start seeing a lot of like millers in the middle of the routine and finishing with a miller plus. What about, and I did this skill and Jeffrey did this skill, and it's crazy to me that some more people don't do this skill because of how simple it was. What about 1.5 front half backwards, right? Everyone's looking for the triffus 3D out tuck, the full front half, adding more front triples, right? But they're only sticking to the half triff tuck and the half triff pike. Is this something that you've done as well? Or something that you guys have played around with, or no?
We've thought about it, but I don't know where it would fit, to be honest, in a routine. So yeah,
I think that's the hard part, is where would you put it?
Well, it's second skill. Where else? Where are you gonna put it fourth? Come on, you're not gonna put it fourth. You're definitely not gonna put it last.
Not gonna put that's the thing. Like I don't know. Again, like risk reward. I don't know whether or not it's worth doing that, because you can sort of structure routines pretty well with just those sort of half triffs, with the two half triffs. So I mean, it'd be interesting to see if anyone does it. I don't think I can see it fitting in my routines in the near future, but potentially, in the next few years, through the next cycle.
Yeah, no, well, I definitely think we're going to start. Have you played around with Miller in the middle of your routine?
I have done a few Millers and routines for like my DD record. I think my 18.8 that I did in training has a Miller in the middle, and I've been playing around with Miller pikes as well. So potentially, we'll see how it goes. But it's all going to be interesting to see what people do. Yeah,
well, I'm happy that I'm not competing, but I'm excited to see how how it plays out.
That makes two of us.
So I got one last question for you, okay? Probably the most important question of the evening, and I want you to answer with utmost honesty, okay?
Yes, sir.
Would you rather have fist-sized nostrils or nostril-sized fists?
I've already got a pretty big nose, so
a giant nose or teeny tiny hands.
Honestly, it had to be giant nose, because just having hands that small would not be practical. You just couldn't do anything.
Right.
At least with a big nose, you could still you get a nose job. I don't think you could.
No. You can't change.
I can't get a nose job.
You can't. Well, then you would say I just have surgery and surgically put on new hands. Nope, it's stuck for life.
Definitely be nostril size. Definitely be fist size nostrils for sure.
Right. I guess more oxygen for your optional routine. But then again, you also probably get all the smells from like all over. All right. Well,
only Steven to come up with a would you rather game.
It's my favorite. Everyone gets them, so don't feel bad. So Dylan, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. We had a blast listening and learning, and I hope a lot of the audience, a lot of the athletes listening can learn from you. I mean, obviously they have tons to learn from you. Hopefully they got a little bit more and learned about you in this podcast. So good luck to you. We wish you the best. Is it mathematically impossible for you not to qualify to the games right now? Are you essentially a lock with your 4 World Cup finals?
You do the math, but yeah, pretty much.
Right. It's almost mathematically impossible, I think. So we look forward to seeing you compete in Tokyo. Fingers crossed that everything goes as planned. And thanks again, and good luck, Dylan.
Cool. Cheers for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Dylan. Thank you for your time.
All right, cheers.
That concludes our conversation with Dylan. We hope you enjoyed learning about him and all he has to share. We love to hear your opinions and questions. Please reach out to us by commenting below or via email at trampolineinsight@gmail.com. You can also reach out to us on Twitter at trampinsight or on Instagram at trampolineinsight. You can also send us a voice message with questions or opinions by following the link in the episode description so we can play it on the podcast. Thanks for listening, and next episode we're going to be announcing the winner of the Veriflight unit. Very exciting. So go ahead and get your last entries in, and we'll have a winner for you very soon.
Ooh, I'm gonna win it.
See you again soon, guys.